Hey guys, I've completed 10 weeks of Jump Science 2.0 and I'm here to review it and share my results. If you weren't aware, I started last year with a 22.5 inch vert that went up to 26 inches after vert shock, then spent 9 or 10 months doing other things and my vert went back down to 23. This summer, 2019, I did Vertical Jump Bible Intermediate Program, got it back up to 26 3/4 inches. That means at 5'9" with a 7'5" reach, I am 4 1/4 inches from the rim and about 13 inches from dunking. Okay, Jump Science. This was suggested to me by someone on Instagram. Thank you, Nikolai. It cost me $37, which is £31.50. And for that, you get access to 6 different programs, levels 1 to 6. Level 1 is for people who can't do a full range of motion goblet squat with a 25 kilo dumbbell. This is just establishing basic strength and movement proficiency. And you're stuck at level 2 if you can't squat 1.5 times your body weight to suitable depth. You're then sorted by whether or not you can squat twice your body weight and your relative vert, which is your max vert divided by your height. He said to be honest with yourself, and at the time I couldn't do a twice body weight squat, so I ended up on level 3. That meant doing a 10-week program which was split into 3 3-week phases with a rest week in week 7. Having emailed the program's creator about the best retesting protocol, he emphasised not giving too much weight to your max vert on any one day and instead to look for long-term improvements. As I need to have something to show for this program, I chose to retest 10 days after finishing it. Despite about 20 attempts, I could only manage a best running vert of around 66 centimetres, which is less than an inch lower than at the end of Jump Bible. This felt about as fresh as I was going to be, so it was quite frustrating to not jump any higher. It's unfair to use my absolute best jump from after the last program as a starting point for this one, but in week 1 I was jumping about the same height, so based on one testing day, I haven't gained much on my vert. As with other programs, I also tested my standing vert each week just to see where I'm at. Vert Shock got me 3.2 inches overall, but 2.4 in the first 3 weeks. Jump Bible was 2.4 and a more steady increase. Jump Science had a head start, and despite dropping in weeks 8 and 9, I finished up at 58 centimetres, again roughly where I started. I think it's important to measure both because one is more about elastic strength while the other one is more raw power. Now, because it's a paid program, I can't share the exact sessions, but every week there are 3 workouts, A, B and C. C starts the same every week. There's a lot of practice jumping involved. And it's the first program I've seen that specifically sets aside time to practice the skill of jumping. There's a series of members-only videos to show you all the exercises and what to focus on, and with the practice jumps I found those helpful. As someone who doesn't have much of a background in jumping, it was nice to go through the basic mechanics and understand the fundamentals of what I'm trying to achieve. Rather than getting straight into depth jumps, weeks 1 to 3 have depth drops, also known as shock jumps, which is sticking the landing without actually jumping. This is to let your body adapt to the high forces involved. There are also single and 2-legged jumps with volume either staying the same or going up by 1 set each week. Weights had overhead squats, mainly for increasing flexibility, then box squats and deadlift, where I subbed in hex bar deadlifts. These were the usual progression of increasing the weight and reducing the reps each week. Weeks 4 to 6 had the same weights, depth jumps made an appearance, as did tuck jumps and broad jumps. I keep mentioning depth jumps because they seem to be the backbone in every jumps program. The main point is being able to absorb the force and turn it into a jump at least as high as you can achieve from standing. For these I work off a rule I picked up online to be on the ground no longer than 0.3 seconds. You can check this with a video of yourself by going frame by frame to work out how long you're on the ground. Week 7 was a rest, but he also had a 10 to 15 minute lower body stretching routine to be carried out daily across the whole 10 weeks. Little details like that gave me confidence in the program. Earlier this year I did a hamstring flexibility program, and I noticed as a side effect of that my standing vert went up by about an inch, and I felt less restricted and more fluid when I was doing my jumps. So I know that stretching is important, and that's something he really emphasises in this program. In weeks 8 to 10 you drop all the weights and you start to include exercises like sprinting and bounding. This felt a lot like how Vert Shock is set up, and I was hoping it would give me a similar boost to my opening weeks of that. The opposite was actually true. If you look at my standing vert, it was much weaker in weeks 8 and 9, and on the court I was jumping about 64 centimetres, about 1.5 inches below my PB. Overall, in terms of the program's design, my first impressions were that it was well put together. He's catering to all levels, and using things like strength and current vert relative to weight and height seemed like a good way of determining someone's ability. I was concerned in week 8 when my standing vert went down, because after a rest week I was expecting to jump maybe 24 inches or higher and I was feeling really fresh. I slated Vert Shock at the time, but having tried other programs, those first few weeks on it have been the biggest gains I've seen so far. Despite having only 1 day's testing to base it on, I would not go around recommending level 3 to others. The practice jumps were great, but that's something you could add to any program. If I were to do this again, I would replace weeks 8 to 10 with the first 3 weeks of Vert Shock. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, then drop them in the comments section below and I'll try to get back to you. Cheers.